Hey, this is Kwavi, life coach for women 50 and over, and the creator of Flourish, an online community specifically for women in their 50s and over. Let me try and get this thing going so that you don't see the reflection because that can be distracting. I know that. How are you guys doing? What's going on? It's Friday. Anyway, I'm saying it's Friday and I'm excited, but guess what? Every day is Friday to me because I really believe it's how you think about it. It really has nothing to do with the day of the week. It really has to do what are your thoughts about that day? And my thoughts are any day can be Friday in my world. So, how's it going? We're going to be talking about habits today. And if you're on, please, put where you're viewing from. I'm in Atlanta. I love it here. I moved to Atlanta when I came to watch the Olympics. So I came to watch my beloved country, Nigeria, play in the Olympics. And at the time, I was living in Boston. And listen, right after that, it was done. I was like, why am I in Boston? We're moving. And 2 months later, I moved. Back then, I was in IT, and I was like, okay, let's go. Found a job. I actually had three offers. Had to make a decision, and yeah, moved. So loving it here, and I'm still here. Got married. Told my husband we have to move to Atlanta. He was in New York at the time. I'm like, babe, that's not going to work. And we finally moved down here. It's interesting. I was thinking earlier today how we don't realize how we manifest things for ourselves. Sometimes we're not even aware of the power of believing so much in something. And earlier this morning, don't ask me why. I just had this random thought. And sometimes, thoughts just kind of come up, but I entertain the thought because sometimes thoughts come up and you don't entertain them. In other words, you don't give them energy. And so they float away. This particular one, I entertained it. And I started thinking about how I manifested that I wanted to have two boys. Really, seriously. I remember it vividly. I was 16 years old and I told God, I said, God, you know what? Please give me two boys. That's what I want. Please give me two boys. Now, at the time, when you think about it, it was maybe to some extent kind of interesting that I would pray for two boys without taking into account whoever I was going to get married to. Like, what if they wanted one child? Or what if they wanted girls? Like, didn't matter to me. I just had this vision. Lord, give me two boys. And thankfully that happened. But I'll tell you this, though, it was not easy. I had so many miscarriages, really. It was like, the first time you get pregnant, and maybe hasn't happened to you, but I remember that first time getting pregnant, I was ready to tell everyone, and I did. And within a few weeks, miscarried. And then the second time, I was like, oh, it's going to be fine. Told a lot of people. And after that, I just stopped telling people because, oh my goodness, it was heartbreaking getting all excited about having a baby and then just to the feeling it when it starts you're like, oh no, 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 no. And so with my son, my oldest son, who's 20 years old, I remember when I first found out I was pregnant with him, I didn't want to say anything because I'm like, okay, just gonna just kind of just pray and just kind of take it easy. And I remember going to the doctor, and when we went in, my husband and I, he was working at the time, so we kind of met in the waiting room. And I remember them saying, all right, so let's do an ultrasound and all of that. So they did. And they did the ultrasound. And she said, oh, by the way, you are having triplets. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, you know what? Hey, it's all good. I asked for two boys, but you know what? I can take three. And she could tell they were all male. And then I said, okay. I said, that's fine. I'll just prepare myself. So I remember calling my mom. I'm like, Mom, you're gonna have to come ASAP because your daughter is about to have triplets and I need help. So we were kind of planning around that. And I didn't tell anyone else because I really didn't want to. I just wanted to keep it within me. And I remember going back to the doctor 2 weeks after that. 2 weeks after that. And they did another ultrasound. Only two left. I was like, okay. I'm like, this is a rough one. This is rough. But I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hold. And I remember one of those days, I remember driving back home And I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember God just telling me, I told you I would take care of you. Because I remember at that time, I had this other friend. We were both praying for to have a child. Both of us we would do this prayer every week unfailingly. We did it for maybe like a year or maybe even 18 months. Where we're constantly praying for a child. And she got pregnant probably 2 weeks before me. And we ended up having our babies like right next to each other, like back to back. And she, like me, had gone through, she had, trouble um, having a baby. So, but anyway, so I went back and there were two kids left. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go back. We're going to, ultrasound, we're going to be fine. I went back and guess what? There was just one. Whew. And it's called, you can look it up. It's called vanishing twin syndrome. So with the first one that I lost, that one was out by itself. And then the other two were in the same sack. And I remember either the doctor saying, well, this does happen from time to time. And I was so scared because I kept thinking to myself, I don't want to go back the next time and they tell me this other one it has disappeared. But thankfully I had the baby and I was so excited. And then I tried for another one. And see, I was like, oh, if I want already, it's going to be easy. No, miscarriages again. And thankfully, I was able to have another one. And he came really early. So that was kind of scary, but everything worked out. And so I was thinking back today, this morning, how I manifested that I wanted two boys. Like I wanted to be a boy mom. And don't ask me why I thought that. I don't know. I remember the first time I visioned that for myself was I was 16, you know. I never think I had a boyfriend at that time. I was just 16 and I said, you know what? I'm like, Lord, please, I'm just praying for two boys. And I remember every maybe 3 or 5 years or so after that, that vision would come up and I would pray to God again. I'm like, Lord, please give me two boys. And it happened. And even for my husband, I actually manifested him. I had a list of all the different, qualities I wanted in a partner, in a lifelong partner. And I would write them all down and I put it under my pillow and I would pray about it. And I'm telling you, I would say probably 90% of that list came true. Like, seriously. So I really believe in being able to articulate what it is that you want and believing that they will come true. And you don't do it in a graspy way, like, oh, it has to come true. No, no, just believing that it will come true. Because that's what I did. I kind of believed in it and let it go. Hi. I just believed in it and it just came, and it came to pass. And I think about I try to do that now. Like sometimes I'm able to do it and sometimes, but I know when I don't have the right energy, it doesn't work. And so you have to have the right energy behind the different things that you want to come about in your life. And I know we're at the beginning of the year and a lot of people are New Year resolutions, vision boards, all these different things to create what they want for their life. But one of the things I think that's really important is really having that belief in yourself. Like, because no one can believe your dream the way you do. Like, no, because you know who owns the dream? You do. It's yours. You own it. You know exactly what you want from it. You know how it feels when you can taste it. You know how it feels when you're really into it and you're like, okay, I want this to happen. I know this will happen. You're the only one that can feel that. So you're the only one that can put all that energy into making it happen. And you're the only one who can take action to make it happen, which I think is so important. And so when I think back to those days, I'm like, wow, that was so interesting. And the same thing for my retreats. I did the same thing. I had this vision of creating retreats for women. Like it was probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And I had no idea how to create a retreat. Never done one before. And I had this lofty idea that I was going to do a retreat outside the country. I had never had one in the country. And this is me saying, you know what, I'm just going to do a retreat in Thailand. That was my idea. I wanted to have a retreat in Thailand. And I was like, okay. But, and it excited me to no end. It's like whenever I thought about it, I would just be like, oh, this is just the best thing ever. And in the first time I created it, and I've told this story numerous times, the first time I did it, nobody signed up, like zero, And so I decided, you know what, this was something I definitely wanted to do. And you know what I did? I did it again. And people signed up. And I was like, yes, it wasn't sold out, but people signed up. I was like, they want to go to Thailand with me. That was so exciting. I'm like, they believe in this vision that I have for women because I had this vision that I wanted women to be in a space where they could just focus on themselves. No cleaning, no chores. They don't have to care of a spouse. They don't have to take care of kids. They don't have to take care of their pets. They don't have to take care of parents. It's just them. And a space where they could just love on themselves. Because I really believe that self love is a foundation for everything. Like when you love yourself, listen, you can move mountains. I'm not kidding you. Seriously, it is so possible. And so I wanted that for these women because I knew that if they were in that space, what they could create would be unbelievable. And so I wanted that for them. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to do this for them. I'm going to believe in them. And they came and they got so much out of it. I poured into this women. I poured into them like the love I poured into them. It was just and it was overflowing because they now felt the love for themselves and they began to love themselves even more. And they all began to think about what they wanted to do. Because this is the thing, I think a lot of us have these dreams and goals that we want for ourselves. But the problem is we never get the space to spend time to create it. And that can be an issue, excuse me. That can be hard because if you have a dream, you have to nurture it. You have to take action, you have to do all these things. But everyday life gets in the way. And most times you can't do the things that you want to do. And so being able to do that was just like, oh, amazing. And then after that, I did another one in Thailand the next year because I just loved it so much. I mean, Thailand, the people, oh, amazing. Their hospitality is second to none, for real. And after that, and listen, if you're viewing this, please let me know where you're viewing from. I'm in Atlanta, so I'd love to know where people are viewing from. And so after doing that, I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to do another one in a different country. And I decided to do it in Morocco. Oh, Morocco is just a cultural, just exquisite place. The food, whew, the vibrant environment. It was just loved it. And after that, I decided to do Bali. So I did Bali. And after Bali, I had this idea to do Greece. And then COVID hit. So I didn't really do it then. But in 2022, in September, I did Greece. Yes. And so I was able to take 12 women to Greece. And we had an amazing time. And, I just look back and say, I am just thankful that I'm able to just live the dream of pursuing my goals. Because sometimes we have these dreams and goals inside of us, but we don't know how to take action on them, or we're scared, or different things come in the way. And I just want to let you know that, listen, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just take one step towards it. And that's all you need to do. Just take that one step and you keep on moving forward, one step in front of the other, one step, and it will work out. One of the things I want to talk to you today is about habits. And habits are required in order for us to take action. We, as humans, we do things out of habit when we use them. Like you do them over and over again, and you're like, okay, I know how to do that. Like walking, for instance. You know how to walk. Yeah, you do it so many times. Now it's a habit for you. Now, drinking water, that's a habit for you. Pouring water, that's a habit for you. Brushing your teeth, that's a habit. But it takes time. And I know there's a lot of there are a lot of articles about it takes 21 days to form a habit. And I just want to share with you that that is not true. You know how long it takes you to form a habit? As long as it needs to. Like, seriously. You thinking that magically on the 21st day, you be able to form that habit? No, sir. No, no. No, ma'am. Does not work that way. You have to, you have to do that thing over and over again. And you know what's really important in order for to make that habit concrete? Your belief in it, your mind. Like, what are your thoughts about it? So if you're thinking, oh, after 21 days, I'm gonna get this. If you just have a thought like that, it's not going to happen. You have to believe that that you're going to do it. And even on the days that you don't want to do it anyway. Like that's how you form a habit when you do. And then eventually it becomes a habit because you're so used to doing it that it's like second nature. But 21 days, no. It's going to take way longer than that. I'm just letting you know. So do not think, oh, you know what? Because how many of you have exercised for 21 days? And are you guys all like, okay, exercise is now a habit for me? Like, no, it doesn't work that way. So I just want to let you know that so that when you go into all these different actions that you're taking to achieve your goals for 2023, I just want to let you know that be mindful that it might not happen right away, but it will happen. I'm just letting you know because some of you are going into it thinking, okay, 21 days, I just need to do this. No. And also, if you're 50 and over, whatever you're doing is you're doing it for life. Like, let's get this going and let's start getting it now. Like, what are you waiting for? Your goals and your dreams, you're putting them over here and say, okay, later on when? There is no guarantee there's going to be a later on. And so I'm just letting you know, you go ahead and do it like right now. Just go ahead and do it. Like, why not? I so believe in the power of just doing, regardless of how you feel. A lot of you sometimes use the thought, "Oh, I really don't feel like doing it today," as a reason not to do something. And I want to challenge you on that. That there have been many times you've done things for people that you love that you didn't want to do. I can bet that you have done that before, right? And if you have, just put a yes in the chat. Yes, we've done that. And so why do we think that it's okay to not feel like doing it because we ourselves don't want to do it? Now, and we know that this, whatever the task is beneficial to us. Okay, sis. So let's go ahead and just do this. Like, really, let's go ahead and do the thing because we know overall it's going to be worthwhile for us. It's going to be beneficial to who we are. It's going to help us show up. Listen, the world needs more women in their 50s and over showing up loud and proud in this youth obsessed world that we currently live in. We need more of you showing up. A lot of you are in the shadows. A lot of you are thinking, oh, my life is over. A lot of you think you're no longer relevant. Not true. Your only belief is believing in yourself. Don't believe the societal narrative that you no longer matter because it's not true unless you want to believe it. And so if that's not a story that you want to take as your own, change it. Decide that you're going to be, your story is going to have you as the heroine doing amazing things. Like, this is the time where you can do so many different things. Like, you can decide that, okay, you know what? I've been thinking all this while I want to write a book. I'm going to go ahead and write a book. I've been thinking I want to travel to all these different countries. I'm going to do that. You can decide, oh, you know what? I'm going to start a business. You can do that. You can decide, I'm going to go back to school. Like, there is no rule book that says, oh no, when you get to 50, sorry, the doors are closed. No more opportunities for you. No. Now, people will argue and say, well, as you get older, it's just more difficult. Okay, it's more challenging. But you know what? We as women in our 50s and over have a super skill. Like, I call that our superpower, where we have wisdom and experience to overcome all these challenges. Like, when we face those obstacles, guess what? We can overcome them because we have the knowledge. Don't think, oh, okay, you know what? We're older now. We can't do this. Yes, we can. And so I just want to encourage you to use that strength that you have within you. We've been given that super strength for a reason. That superpower is ours to use and wield as we please. So please use it. Use it. You can't get to that age without acquiring all these amazing knowledge, all this amazing wisdom that can be used to overcome all kinds of obstacles that come across your path. That is what it's there for. And in the process of doing that, the younger ones are watching, they're like, oh, look at what those women are doing. And that can be inspiring to them. So, anyway, I just wanted to come on and talk about habits and how we need to show up for ourselves. Like, how are you showing up today? Like, are you showing up in a way that you feel, I like to call this process the compassionate observer, where you're now observing how you are showing up in a compassionate way. Because I don't want you beating yourself up. Oh, I should have done this by this time. And no, we're not looking at it from that perspective. I want you to compassionately observe how you're showing up. Like, are you showing up in the way that you really want? Is that the way you really want to show up? And if it's not, you have the power to change it. You do. It's never too late, and you're not too old to change how you show up for yourself. You can decide, you know what, this is not the way I want to show up. I want to show up more powerfully, or I want to show up more boldly. Or I want to show up in a way that I feel comfortable, or I want to show up that is true to who I am. And whatever that is, you can do that. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back next week. And don't forget to subscribe and share. Take care. Bye.